What's up, y'all? Pastor Andre here. Just want to talk to you for a few moments. A few days ago, the presidential debate between Kamala, however you say her name, Harris, Vice President, and President or former President Donald Trump took place. And I just wanted to offer my analysis and thoughts on it. Won't be before you long, but did want to talk about it. Now, what the first thing I'll say is this is debates are not designed for those voters who have made their decisions on who they are going to vote for. It may persuade someone in the Trump camp to vote for Kamala Harris, or it may persuade someone in the Kamala Harris camp to vote for President Trump. However, that's going to be small in number. Really, what a debate is designed for is for the undecided and independent voter. And this gives an opportunity for each candidate, of course, to present their platform, their plan, and policy prescriptions and let the voter decide. Now, that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get into what happened at this debate. First of all, the bar was set pretty low for Kamala Harris. She had been dodging the press for over 40 plus days. President Trump has been taking interviews and sitting down with people to discuss his policy prescriptions and plans. And here's the thing about this election that you have going for you, whether it would have been Joe Biden or now Kamala Harris, is that you have two incumbent uh, administrations and you know what to expect from each one. Where Trump was voted out, right, in 2020, or was it 2020? Yeah, it was 2020. And the Biden administration took over. Trump left behind a successful economy, a world at peace and prosperity. People were working, and we had just got through a terrible pandemic, of which it did tank the economy for a few months, if you would, but eventually the economy blasted through after it was able to overcome the woes of the pandemic. Now, you have the Biden administration take over. They undo pretty much almost everything that the Trump administration did. And in that, resulting in uh, you know, uh, massive inflation, uncontrolled and it just unchecked immigration, and people struggling to pay their bills. And so one really has to ask himself, and I would urge independents and undecideds to really look at this thing and ask themselves this. If you are undecided, just look at how your life was under the Trump administration 3.5 years ago and at the current administration, the Biden administration. Under the Trump administration, as I said, I stated all those things, but where people really experience what's happening is in the grocery stores, their jobs, taxes, and all those different things, opportunities, all those different things the average American is going to experience. So when you look at the Trump administration, you'll find that gas in my state was in my area $1.70 actually. And today, at the height of summer, if you would, gas is like 3 plus close to $4. And you have to ask yourself, you go to the grocery store, you don't even have a basket full of items, yet it costs you close to $100. Whereas I can go in the Trump when Trump was in office and shop in the grocery store to feed my children and my family, and I could have a cart and a half to 2 carts and not spend nearly as much as I'm spending right now. So it's a lot of people are reluctant to stimulate the economy because they're trying to survive. And so when we get into this debate, the game plan, I can tell you, and I kind of figured, was they were going to try to it was a snare and a trap for Trump, and they were going to try to set him up. They were going to try to get him to be unhinged, to be angry, because when he's angry, he's not the best at presenting his platform, which he has a very good platform. And one thing I did not expect is that they were going to utilize these disproven hoaxes and things not based on fact to attack him. And so some of those hoaxes that they used, that Kamala Harris used, and she got away with, was one, the verifying people hoax, which is, you know, the debate or the disagreement over whether statues should remain versus not. And he was saying verifying people on both sides, people for leaving memorials up, even though they might have been of the Confederate nature, or those for taking them down. He was not saying the extremist groups that were there were verifying people. He was talking about people who respectfully disagreed over whether the statues should remain or not. The Proud Boys hoax, where he told them to stand back and stand by. He just told them not to get involved, basically. And the one that is the biggest lie is Project 2025. He had nothing to do with that. His plan is Agenda 47. You can find it on his website. And then, as we're finding out now, the January 6th insurrection hoax, in which they keep saying that he incited insurrection, but it's been proven time and time again that that is a lie. He told them to peacefully and patriotically, if they go to the Capitol, act in that manner, because we have a respect for law enforcement. We are the party of law and order. He in no way incited violence or anything like of the such, but they keep lying about it. And then you have Nancy Pelosi admitting that she was irresponsible and should have did a better job in making sure that people were safe. So there you have that. He brought that up. And there was some other lies, you know, about the economy and immigration and things like that. Now, Kamala, although a polished turd, did a decent job projecting and promoting and stating the lies that she told. She did it in a format that make her to seem, that would have made her to seem that she was presidential, but she was lying most of the time. And here's the problem that I have. And I knew she was lying, but a lot of independents and undecideds probably, maybe they don't know. I'm not saying that they don't know, but a lot of them probably don't. But here's the problem. When you have moderator bias, that is a disservice to the American people. The moderators should have stayed out of it, and they should have been fair on both sides. There were times where Kamala's mic was left open when it was supposed to be muted mics, and there were times when Trump was shut off quickly, even though he had to rebut what was said. Also, he was fact-checked 100% of the time of things he said that were true, even though they tried to prove it to be a lie. And she was fact-checked none of the time, although she did lie. Other hoaxes, the bloodbath hoax, bloodbath is an economic term indicating if there's something that happens with an industry, you know, the impact economically could be a bloodbath. It's not saying that there's going to be violence. That's not what that's saying. People need to really look at things in context, you know, instead of believing what the media portrays to the American public. You can't trust them, man. You can't. I've been telling my congregation that. I don't know if they're listening or not. I hope they are. But I've been telling them that. You cannot trust these people. And then the whole abortion thing. The abortion thing, they said they tried to say that he was going to impose a national abortion ban. And you know what? If he did, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at that. But he didn't say that. He effectively dismantled Roe v. Wade by appointing 2 Supreme Court justices, or 3 rather, that believed in pro-life or are pro-life. And when that case came, they struck it down and sent it back to the states to make decisions on their abortion policy and let the people speak. Because when you send things back to the states, you put it on ballot for the individual voter and they get to vote on it. And so that's effectively what he has done. Now, personally, he believes in the 3 exceptions. the life of the mother, rape, or incest. And in my case, I mean, I understand that. I understand that. I don't fault him for that. I don't totally agree with that, but I understand why he takes that position. She, however, believes in unregulated, uncontrolled, taxpayer-funded abortion, and also taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries, which I am not for, and I don't want my taxpayer dollars going for it. And so, with all of that, what the most despicable thing about the debate was the moderator bias and them trying to make him look like he is a bad guy. Some of the questions that they asked were, Trump, here's an example. Trump, you're a bad person. Explain why you're a bad person. And then he defends himself, and then he says, Kamala, why is he such a bad person? What kind of questions are those? That has in no way to do with explaining policy or anything. They should have been able to debate based on policy, and the moderators, if they needed a fact check, they should have did that equally across the board. So for a person like me, does this convince me to vote for Kamala? No. Does she move the needle on whether someone's going to vote for her or vote for Trump? No. The independents, after they did the focus group polls, were disappointed. They were disappointed in the moderators. They were disappointed in her because she stated no policy. She tried to say that Trump had no policy, but in actuality, he has the policy. She doesn't have a policy platform. In fact, she's plagiarized policy prescription from him. One example is to no tax on tips. That's what she did, but she cast the tie-breaking vote to tax tips. So if you're an independent or undecided, I advise you to do your research. And what you hear them saying, the first time you hear it is most likely what they're going to do. She even, I don't believe she has a gun, but she said her and Tim Walz have firearms. I don't believe that. But she's doing that to pander. Because when she gets in office, she's going to do everything she can to take away them beloved AR-15s and any other weapons she can get her hands on. She's talked about mandatory buyback programs, of which you spend all this money on your gun, and she's going to offer you a fraction of what it's worth and basically take it away from you. I believe in the Second Amendment, which says that the right to bear arms and it shall not be infringed upon. And remember, it is not guns that kill people. It is people that kill people. If it wasn't a gun, it would be a knife. If it wasn't a knife, it would be a rock or a stone, anything like that. It's the person that is behind the act, behind the weapon, that does this. And so Trump had many opportunities to knock her out. But maybe he's reserved because of what happened with Joe Biden and the undemocratic process the Democrats pulled to put her in and anoint her as queen of the Democrat Party. Joe Biden had 14 million votes. She had none. They circumvented their own primary process to push him through. They should have let the debates between candidates of the Democrats play out. But they circumvented their own democratic process, and they're trying to circumvent this election by doing these fixed debates and things like that. And if Trump doesn't take another one, I don't blame him. But if he does, he need to go for the jugular and knock her out. I think that the loss belongs to the American people because the moderators took that opportunity away from us to decide. Now, for me, like I said, it's not going to change my mind either way. But for those independents and people who are looking to choose and trying to look at policy platforms, they lost. They lost on Tuesday. They lost because the moderators, they intervened where they should not have, and they showed clear bias. The fight was fixed. It was a 3-on-1 situation. And I believe that Trump held his own. So it was neither a loss nor a win for him. But what I did like what that he did was he focused, although they tried to attack him, he focused the discussion on immigration and the economy. That was a smart move by him. Now, he had some miscalculations that he made when it came to, the rally that was designed to bait him because of his pride. He's got to get over that. He knows he has the people. He don't have to prove it to them, and he knows there's a lie. And if anything, that she should have been fact-checked on that, but she wasn't. She wasn't. And then, although it was true, and I see people coming out speaking about it, people in Springfield, Ohio, dealing with Haitian illegal immigrants eating pets and, ducks and geese in the community. That's a true thing. People are speaking out against that, but yet Trump mentions it, and it seemed to have hurt him. But one of the things I know about President Trump is he tells the inconvenient truth, even if it makes him look bad. Because in the end, what happens is he turns out to be right. And people be like, man, wow, he was right. So he's not afraid to tell the inconvenient truth and be looked at as crazy. But even now, he's turned out to be right about everything he said. Illegal immigration, the economy, and their moves in the economy, what they're trying to do, he's been right. All you got to do is research it. So to my independent fellow Americans and undecideds, do your research. Don't just look to a debate because they're going to lie to you. They're proving that. She's told several lies in that debate, and they weren't fact-checked. And CNN of all have done some fact-checking on her during that debate. She will do anything to get into power and to enact the Marxist policies that she's not telling you about. And if you don't know what Marxism and communism is, I advise you to look it up. That is not nothing you want in this nation. I say that sincerely because what gets me is the older generation. They seem to buy into this garbage, but the younger generation is not. Speaking to my daughter, who watched the whole debate with her boyfriend, they said, we know who we're voting for. We're voting for Trump. She wasn't doing them but lying and gaslighting. But she then told me that, that her peers are voting for Kamala because Kamala tore Trump up. Really? Did she? Really? With lies. Lies. He was in a 3-on-1 fight. And I think he held his own pretty well. And there are even polls coming out saying that he won the debate from liberal outlets, liberal pollsters. But as if with anything, what I advise people to do, people that are believers, pray for Trump. Pray for Trump because he is the one who God chose. And then pray for Kamala that she gets saved. But until next time, peace.